Okay. All right. Budget hearings are now back in order. Tourism is next.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you.
You don't have to do anything with this mic.
Yeah, you gotta turn it on. You all need to turn your mics on so you can hear you. Can't hear you on YouTube.
I've got mine on.
Just press it.
Just push the button.
Okay. Well, I'm Mike Spinks. I'm the president of the CBB over here, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Let me get it out. And then.
I'm Beth Wood, and I'm the president of the Tourism Commission.
And I'm Jason Kinney, I'm the tourism director. So I did provide an outline of some highlights of our activities for the year, and it's not everything, but it provides you an overview and it shows you the kinds of things that we do. So I'll take a brief moment to just point out a few things. I won't go through all of it, but if you all have any questions about it, just let me know. So, for example, donations that we made, there's a list of different things there, like to the Garden Club for downtown flowers, beautification, the county history museums, civic theater, things like that. Cataract Schoolhouse for historic preservation, Gosport Town Park revitalization project. Now with Gosport, that's a project that the Gosport community is doing, and we're one of the sponsors. It started last year. We made a contribution to it. We contributed a donation to it this year as well. It's a multi-phase project that Gosport is doing to improve the town park and to beautify it, including planting trees, infrastructure, a new basketball and sports court, recreation center. That's the type of things that they're working on. And then we sponsor a variety of different things. So, for example, the 5K race at McCormick's Creek State Park. We sponsor the spring race. We also sponsor the fall race. We are one of the entertainment sponsors for the Owen County Farmers Market, or the Gosport Lazy Days. We're one of the sponsors, and things of that nature. We sponsor the Chamber Chat on the radio station.
I think the one at the Tivoli was quite a success, the Lloyd Wood concert. We had the Tivoli filled with people for Lloyd and his band. They did a nice job.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they had 227 people at that. And then, we do a variety of advertising throughout the state. So, I provided a list of some of our major advertisements. So it's things like the State Visitors Guide, the DNR Recreation Guide, State Festival Guide, the Indiana Travel Map, which I gave you all a copy of. That provides an example of a state publication that we advertise in. And so we have an ad in that map. You know, we advertise in the different festival books like Lazy Days, Apple Butter, the Fair Book, things like that. TV commercials. So right now we're running TV commercials in Terre Haute on WTWO and WAWV about visiting Owen County.
We're getting some of those Illinois people over here
Yeah,
to spend their money.
yeah.
It's on the website.
And
Yeah.
mywabashvalley.com website associated with those TV stations as well. And then, you know, in addition to those things, we promote the county in a variety of ways. We publish a monthly events newsletter for visitors through email and Facebook. We also have print copies available at the Visitor Center. And then I gave you all a copy of August's newsletter, and September's will be out in just a few days. And then there's the list there of some of the different things that we publish: Visitor's Guide, Hiking Guide. We're working on a newly redesigned Visitor's Counter Map that will provide the major roads in the county, and then the different attractions will be listed on the back side. And I've got a rough draft here to show you what we're working on. So have businesses, lodging, attractions, things like that on there, listed on the map.
Designed locally,
Yes,
Yeah.
designed locally, published locally.
right. And then, you know, we answer tourists' questions about visiting. We send out visitors packets. We mail our visitors guide to other counties' visitors centers. You know, and something that's been popular is we put event flyers in our window at the visitor center. A lot of people stop by and look at those flyers, and they take pictures of them with their phones. So, do you have any questions about the list of activities?
So in terms of the budget, it's pretty simple because we just simply contract it out. We have one line item,
Right.
you're wanting just under 100,000, the money's there and that's what we're budgeting. So pretty straightforward.
It comes out of innkeeper's tax too,
Yes.
not the tax in the county.
And what, Sheila, what's the revenue been on that? 'Cause I think it's been a little more than the amount you requested, is that right?
Shelley will have to answer you. So we can see if I have it.
The fund number is 7304.
You look on your monitors. You take it in this year, 11,442.38.
I think the numbers are kind of down because of the tornado that went through the park as well.
They started the year with $170,659. They've received $41,513 and expended $97,650 so far. Current balance is $114,522.
Does that money come in monthly from the state?
Comes in monthly.
I'm stuck on your number. What date are you looking at? They're 8/15 because that was
The
the
money
last
comes
meeting.
in.
So they don't have actual billing. It was exactly by the 8:30 in the
The
morning.
money comes into the state through the treasurer's office and it's dispersed to student tourism.
So one thing that we want to be very careful about is that if we only have received 41,500 in revenue, let's say even up to the end of July, then there's going to be a little bit of a shortfall at some point because for the year, that's only gonna be, let's say, 80-some thousand, but we're spending about 100. So there's gonna have to be some point where that'll have to be reduced or some action taken, I'm guessing.
Well, for some reason, the income tends to be weighted heavier for the second half of the year than the
Okay.
first half. And so what we saw last year was a similar situation, but the second half of the year made up for it so that all of our budget requests were still covered by the income.
So something we want to keep an eye out for this coming second half of the year to make sure that
Yeah,
it's coming in the way we think it will.
we agree. We
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I agree. It's good to keep an eye on that.
We make 2 draws a year, and we'll have to watch the balances on those draws, yeah.
But if you consider the cash that's in there, there is a little bit of a buffer or savings, if you will.
Yeah,
And so that is important. But otherwise, yeah, the budget is good.
Mhm.
The way-
yeah. I just wanted to mention real quick that it's a $2,200 overall increase. And so the increases are in the printing, office rent, and advertising categories. And then just a minor decrease in insurance. Otherwise, it's the same budget as 2024.
We appreciate your support, and if you do have questions, our offices and CVB is right across the street. Come over and ask us, and we'll take care of your questions. Do you need to vote on it, or how do you want to handle that?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very much.
Oh, something I wanted to mention, that this handout in your packet, that's printed off of our website, and it's an events calendar that we keep updated regularly.
Oh, okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Marcy, the chamber. Okay. Are we ready? Ready? Is soil and water next or EDC? Yeah, economic. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry, not yet, no, it's EDC. It's EDC.
Camera.
Sorry. EDC is
Yeah. You're next.
Marcy will be quick. It's like you know me or something.
Do you mind if I stand? Okay, thank you. All right, so before I begin, I just want to take a moment. I have several individuals in the room that are here to support economic development. They've all told me they don't want to say anything, and that's great, but I still would like and appreciate if they would please stand so that you can see who's in the room to support today. You're here. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So what I'd like to do this morning is each of you should have received a small packet. And in that packet, I just kind of want to go over it because the number one question the Chamber is always asked is, what does the Chamber of Commerce do? People always ask that question, and it's a really hard question to answer because the Chamber of Commerce does a lot of different things. It's not just a defined sentence. So I thought I'd just go through some of these, and that way then, if you have any questions, I'd be able to answer them. So we do a ladies' night, a women in business conference. We hold after hours and coffee connects, ribbon cuttings. I have one today and tomorrow. Our back to school expo, where we give over 600 backpacks away filled with supplies. We do member networking. We have our very own first Fiesta Owen County coming up on October 18th. Our Hispanic population has increased from 2.2% to 4.7% over the last year. So we want to make sure that our new residents of Owen County feel like they belong. So we are going to be having Fiesta Owen County. I hope you can attend that. A Salute to Service event coming up this fall. We work on housing, infrastructure. We have a revolving loan program in which we've given away $94,000 just this year to help 2 businesses get started. We help with the tax abatement process with our READY funds. We have had 3 proposals that we've worked on this year with the READY. Fiber expansion. We have a fiber meeting coming up this next week. We're really close to being completely done with that. Marketing and advertising platforms for members. We help out with fireworks, work with the fire department and different local businesses, make sure that we get a fireworks celebration every year. We do EDC access events. We just had that last Friday where we had the Chief of Staff of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation come and speak to us. Working with the Unified Development Ordinance. We all know that's been going on for almost over a year now. We have a partnership with Discover Southern Indiana. Basically what that means is that gives Owen County the opportunity to be on a much larger platform so that different regions and also throughout the state, people are seeing all the great things that are happening in Owen County. We support different festivals. Of course, one we did this year was the Eclipse, which was really cool. That was a new experience. We had a lot of people work together on that, and the economic impact from that was that our local businesses had about a 25% increase in their gross profits on that weekend. So that was good. We help out with Owen County child care initiatives. Of course, this last year we had our very first Boys and Girls Club open up, or this year. We do Small Business Saturdays coming up in November. Legislative breakfasts. If you haven't been over there, right directly behind the Chamber of Commerce is a fiber garden. That was a $50,000 grant that we received through ROI, and now people have free access to Wi-Fi right there. And it's always fun when I go out there sometimes to have lunch. I see families out there eating. That's cool. We do an Owen Valley High School Economic Development Leadership Academy, which has been really fun for me. In fact, we have a group of students working right now on a project that they got inspired by. They're going to be helping the park raise funds for opening up a new trail and helping to build a bridge. We do the Sweet Owen County Arts Alliance. That meeting is tonight. We received a grant from the Arts Commission, and that grant is going to help us to start a new Arts Alliance here in the county where we're able to have artist input on different community and neighborhood projects. We have business mentoring, and of course on the second floor of the chamber we have the exchange. We currently have 255 members. I think I actually got another one this morning, so 256 members. And you know what? It takes a lot of work to make sure that you're staying up with 256 members, but it's absolutely awesome because that's all about relationship building and trust. And through our first steps, next steps, and our business build-out program, in just this last year, we've had 46 clients advised, 83 counseling hours, 11 business startups, 28 jobs have been generated, and all that goes together to make $676,000 of capital infusion into the county. And from that business mentoring, we've had the Entrepreneur of the Year, and this year we had the Women-Owned Business of the Year for the state of Indiana. So what does the chamber do? That and more. and then also good news, tomorrow morning we get to pick up the wayfinding signs. Stello has them completed, and so we hopefully will have those wayfinding signs up. That's been going on for 4 years, but we have them, and hopefully we'll have them up before the Apple Butter Festival. So that's really cool. So all that to be said, in your packet, you should have received this, okay? Hopefully you have, if not I'll pass this around. But basically what this shows that in the last 5 years, through economic development, we can point out to every single penny that there has been a direct investment into the county of over $60 million. That's a lot of money. That's great. That's awesome that we have that investment. That's on average $12 million of investment a year coming into Owen County. Now the really cool thing is this. Owen County's reached a tipping point. Because if we have everything that's going on right now through economic development continue at the momentum that it is currently moving, that means next year when I come to you, I will be able to say that in 1 year's time, we will have been able to see a $46 million increase in just 1 year. That is a really big deal for Owen County. That means we've reached a point where people have put in enough hard work that there's the infrastructure in place, the fiber in place, the housing, the child care, the main foundations that a community needs for it to grow at a faster pace and for that growth to be good for the community. And I have right there, I can't go into like details, but you can see that we have a park plan that we have going right now. That's a $3.7 million park plan. Hopefully we get that approved by ready. Housing, infrastructure, childcare, fiber, and community development. So today, my formal request. Last year, the county council budgeted $75,000 to economic development for our budget. I'm not going to ask for any more of that $75,000. My only ask on that is please do not cut that budget. My request this year is that sitting in the account is $134,950 of supplemental lit funds. I would request that the county council commit to giving half of that funds to economic development now and the other half next year. And here's why. I'm trying to be very transparent here. I need it to keep my employees. I do two jobs. I'm the chamber director, and I also am the local economic development officer. I make $55,000 a year annually. But if you split that in half, that means I'm making $27,500 a year, and I have not had a pay raise in 2 years. My media specialist makes $17 an hour. Tom Wallace, who's retired, God love him, he does a fantastic job over there, makes $16.25 an hour. Deja Drake was an intern and she was here and she makes $16. She's gone now because she's back at school, but she works a few hours just so I can keep things going, and I'll send stuff to her via email, and it's been very helpful. And then Danny Letman, he works with the Economic Development Housing, and he makes $16.50 an hour as well. He only does the housing. As you can see from that tipping point of the county, we've been working really hard, but now things are picking up. I need to be able to have the capacity to stay up with what Owen County is doing. Besides Hope Houston, the media specialist, everyone there is a part-time employee. Because if you move them into full-time, then there's other things of benefits and different things that, quite frankly, we can't afford. And I hate that I can't afford those things for my employees. I hate that I can't provide them different insurance benefits. Just recently was I given insurance benefits. So what I'd like to do with that half, the 60, what is it, sorry, I have it written down here. The $67,475 is I would like to increase the wages of my employees, and I need to hire someone. We are at full capacity. The two individuals, Deja and Danny, that you see there at the bottom, they're maybe only being able to work 10, 8 hours a week. That's all that I can afford them to do. That puts a lot of pressure on Tom and Hope and myself. And quite frankly, it's very difficult to keep up. And quite frankly, any one of those individuals can leave the Chamber of Economic Development and find a job making twice that, just like that. But they don't because they care about their county, and they love doing what they do, and they love the relationships that they're able to have. And I want to take care of my employees. So that is my request. Any questions that I can answer?
I think that can be said for a lot of our employees. I mean, they're not here because they can't, because they could go anywhere else and get paid more. So, I mean, I think that's across the board with all of our employees. So that's kind of the spirit of and we're trying very hard to help them. But what's everybody's thoughts?
Or if I can answer any questions.
Just making sure the numbers are correct. We did not get 135,000 in supplemental lit. We did get 106,300. So we want to make sure that number is correct. The town's got a share of that amount. I think the number you were given is the grand total from the state of Indiana. So I just want to make sure you're not short in your.
So what was the number again? 100
For the county, it was 106,300.
Okay.
And that's just generally for that pot of money. There's other obligations we already have out of that fund, whether that is the increase for the community crossings grant match, which we're upping to 500,000, or where our group health insurance is paid for, and our current amount for the 75,000 that's through the contract services that you mentioned in your report. We're also going to do an ADA project, and there needs to be money for that. So there's other things that are in that fund that are not solely dedicated to your organization. So as far as claiming the full amount, I'm not sure that that's necessarily a fair breakdown of all the obligations that have to come out of that fund. But I wouldn't be opposed necessarily to increasing the contract services amount, which you've been asking for in previous years. It's a lot easier, I think, to just simply consider going to.
So the
80,
contract
85.
services would be for what?
That goes to them for their operations and support of the organization. We give them $75,000 currently. And in light of the additional things that are being done and keeping that trajectory going, normally considering an increase to that would be the way that we've usually done that.
This is where I'm coming from. I mean, we are struggling to give our own employees raises. I mean, right now your 55,000 is more than what our auditor makes. So I just don't want to shortchange our employees. I mean, I want it all to be across the board and all to be fair. So that's where I'm coming from.
Over the last 9 years, the county council have increased the budget for economic development $20,000, just to give a little perspective.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, Polly, if there's some reservation about giving money that's specific for a position, for instance, or raises, that's a concern. But if it's just a general adjustment to the contribution that's made to economic development, I would be more in favor of that myself. And maybe you would.
I mean, there are several things that the chamber does that is commendable and is very helpful. I'm not, as with it, all of us, I'm sure we don't all agree on everything. But I mean, that's just my concern. I don't.
Anton, what's your thought in this?
Well, and the other thing is that the request for the position is using the one-time, kind of from a 2-year standpoint, and then what happens after that? It would be the next question. I'd rather see a more sustainable or sustained amount per year that just continues to go towards that with, growth.
Well, and the extra position, we've been making everybody else put theirs on a wish list. I mean, to be revisited later.
Right.
So.
And I'm not saying add a position, but what I'm saying is adjusting the amount that is given each year. Now it's at 75. Would the council consider 85, 90, for instance, this year, that would just be our normal sustaining contribution to the economic development organization? I mean, that's my thought.
That would allow her to make the adjustments internally with the positions if you don't fund.
She'll have to they'll have to prioritize how they do it or what they do, or partner with other folks or do what it takes, but at least from a sustaining standpoint, the county, which already has skin in the game, would simply adjust or continue or grow that sustained amount. And that's not just 2 years only, that would be continuing. I'm always leery of specific positions on one-time money. I just don't, just not a good idea anyway. But I would be willing to support at least a $10,000 or $15,000 adjustment on that particular line item. And if we want to put that in the form of a wish list, we can. But I think, to me, that I would be more comfortable with that. But that's just my opinion, so.
I agree with you. I mean, you want to put it on the wish list?
Put it on a wish
I think
list and
that's-
revisit it.
We can address it then.
So how much, 15?
I would put them up to 9, you would. What did we get last year? 10?
We currently give them 75. In the year prior, 2023, and I think 22 as well, it was 65.
That's correct.
Well, I think if you put on wish list, there's other things that we need to address, and we'll see financially where we're at.
When does the council address the wish list?
At the end
Depends on
of
our schedule, but
Schedule.
the end of the day tomorrow.
I was gonna say, it'll be at the end of
Right.
the day, after you hear them all, and you do recalls or anything, if you're not going to come back on Friday.
So
we just-
end of tomorrow, possibly Friday. Are we done?
That's all I had, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I think there was a gentleman out there that had a question.
Yeah, I,
Do you take comments?
we could, I guess we could. I mean, we haven't been up until now, but that would be fine.
Thank you. My name is Darrell White. I live on Patricksburg Road, and I'm a lifetime resident of this county, and I know several of you on the council. The rest of you that I don't know, I look forward to meeting you. But I come to this from a different perspective, and it's hard for me to realize that I'm officially the old guy these days. I'm going to be 78 in October, and I've lived all of that time and owned a home here in Spencer. And I remember when I had a small business downtown. It was a photography for a jewelry, photography store, and jewelry store. And then I went to work for Vantech and became Boston Scientific. And my first career was actually teaching. I was a high school science teacher, so I had some experience with the private sector and with the public sector. And one of the very valuable lessons I learned when I was with Vantech and Boston Scientific was money and budget items. And one of the most valuable lessons is if you have an idea that you think might work, that you think might be productive, you can give it a little money. And that's kind of a span. But once you see that beginning to work and returning on that initial investment, much more than you put into it, you don't strangle it. You reinforce what you're giving to that. So I'm really thinking that what the Chamber has done is truly remarkable. Because as I said, in the 70s and 80s, the Owen County Chamber of Commerce was a social organization. They got together once a month and had lunch, and once a year they had a banquet. I don't know that they did anything to bring in businesses, or both businesses or help businesses. I've seen what Marcy and her people can do to help new businesses recently in this community. And Elite Auto is an incredible example of a guy that was doing a few $100,000 of gross revenue in a month. He's grossing over $1 million in revenue just on the edge of Spencer right now. And it's because of the help from the Chamber of Commerce. And that's not an isolated story. So many more businesses are getting help. So I would encourage you to really think about what Marcy's requested and not think of it as spending. Truly think of it as investing in our community, because they are a proven entity and they have returned many times over the additional investment in revenue for this community. And as Marcy said, and I've been a part of many initiatives in this community the last 15, 20 years, we have grown a lot. We've advanced in many, many respects. And what is truly unique, and I've worked regionally, what is truly unique in this community is the separate groups of organizations work cooperatively. Nobody's working against each other. And I think our chamber is a part of that. It's kept people coming together and finding out what are your objectives? What are you trying to do? How can I help you? And I think we need to do everything possible to keep that momentum going so that this community really does attain more of its potential. And I think Spencer and Owen County has an incredible potential. for the future. So thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.
If I could just get 30 seconds. I'm sorry, I know you're on schedule. My name is Dave Bittner. I'm with the Indiana Small Business Development Center. I have the honor of coaching, mentoring, advising small business owners and entrepreneurs in the county. I actually cover 4 counties. And I'll just say that this county and the Economic Development Group and the Chamber are head and shoulders above the other 3 counties I cover, without question. The level of activity, the support they give their small businesses, the way they support entrepreneurship, all the things that seem like the norm here are extras in other counties. And so just from a personal perspective, I want to tag on to what this gentleman said, because I do think it's something you do support and you do reward, because there's no quit in this chamber. I just see a different culture and very, very, very proud of what you have going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on the subject of economic development as a fund and what we put into that, one of the things that we should consider doing if we want to contribute more or make that investment is considering having like a grant writer position or something along those lines. And using edit funds would be a good source for something like that, because that individual is a person that would draw in more money, whether it's for county-specific projects or things that we need as county government, or something in tandem or cooperation with economic development, tourism, you name it.
We've talked about a grant writer
Right.
for the county and them operating on commissions per se.
Right.
So,
So there's something there that we could look into, or I should say, look into, and see how that might be structured, because there may need to be use of edit funds, for instance, as match money. If you need 50 grand to match a grant, for instance, edit funds is probably a good source to do that. If your grant writer is covered through that, then that would be a very fitting connection, I would say. And it's something that would be a part of county government directly, be an individual that works with us. And of course, they would partner with a lot of other groups. Because we do lack the capacity right now. I mean, who would write a grant if we were interested? A highway does what they can to go for community crossings, right? And that's their domain. But what if there's another project that the commissioners might want to pursue that's stormwater related, or some other project? We don't have, the auditor's office doesn't have the capacity to do such a thing, and we can't rely or ask some of our current employees that maybe are a little more savvy on grants to add on the additional work needed with certain grant applications and that kind of thing. So it's something maybe to think about if we were to make an additional investment. Something like that I would feel more comfortable with. But
like adding.
in addition to giving a little more money anyway for them. But I think the grant writer would be something to look into.
It would be a broader picture
Mhm.
for their services. And I am a certified grant writer, but no, I don't have no time. But most grant writers are 10 to 15% of whatever the grant is. Yeah, you have to do the matching funds generally to finish the process, but it's a position that would eventually pay for itself.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And you
Right.
wouldn't have to have that continued increase.
Mhm.
And that's overall for the county, so that would be a good.
And I wish we
Yeah.
would have done it a long time ago,
Right.
as specifically in the shadow of
Been
COVID.
talking about it quite a while,
Right.
quite a while. but-
I think we have missed out on a lot of opportunities. We've gotten a lot of grant money and things through ARPA and stuff like that, but you know what? If we had someone that had the capacity to actually work and focus on that, instead of commissioners dabbling in a little bit of this and so on, we could have coordinated it to where we could have taken our 4 million ARP money and turned it into 6 million or 8 million because of the coordination and the matching and things like that with other grant opportunities. But we just didn't have a person or a capacity or the knowledge to do that. Then the grant writer would be someone who's trained, up to date, know the standards, know where to go, and can manage that and take a little bit of a workload off the auditor's office, because quite frankly, you guys spend a lot of time on the account side tracking down grants and paperwork and then having to go through the audit. And this grant writer could also be tasked with those administrative duties. And I know the auditor's requesting additional staff because they're overloaded, but that could also be a way to take pressure off without having to add a full-time position or whatever. There might be a way to make something work under that kind of structure. So just food for
Okay.
thought.
Right. Soil and water.
I need to apologize. I screwed up.
Oh.
I literally forgot that our meeting was at 8, and I received my assignment for today at 1:45. My memory was saying that meeting regarding the grant would be right before discussing the budget, and that's where I screwed up. It is my fault. I do apologize. I am hoping that we may still be able to address that. While I'll let you reflect on that, I would like to go ahead and hand out a re-amended service investment financial return. I had a board meeting last night, and there were 2 items I neglected to include. So that's going to increase the total conservation investment leverage through soil and water up to $2,224,899, reflecting in a per dollar return of $35 per dollar. I would like you to just look at that. One of the items on there is something that had started in all.
Thank you.
So, Tammy, is this in addition to your budget, what you're talking about?
Excuse me, sir?
In addition to dealing with your budget?
Yes, this is to enhance my budget, my arguments for my budget. It's to let you know what soil and water has done for the county. There you go, sir. And I apologize.
I need you to talk a little bit louder.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm a little bit soft-spoken. When I prepared my budget, I do like creating something to show you what soil and water has done for the county. Before I even start, if you wouldn't mind, I think there is some confusion about what is soil and water. Briefly, I'd just like to share. Soil and water conservation districts are a local government subdivision. We are not a nonprofit, meaning we do not qualify for a majority of community 501c3 grants. Our foremost primarily source of funding is through county, state, and federal investments and related municipal targeted grant opportunities, which are very, very limited and highly competitive. We are not a new entity. Districts were formed under the direction of Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Dust Bowl to help correct severe erosion problems caused by erroneous farming practices during the Great Depression. Owen County Soil and Water Conservation District was established in 1946. There are now over 3,000 districts across the United States, one in nearly every county. Our purpose is to help develop and maintain the health and sustainability of both rural and urban communities through responsible management of our natural resources and farmlands. Simply put, improving the quality of life naturally. So I just wanted you to know that that's pretty much, so as far as getting grants, I don't have access to the grant opportunities that the other nonprofits have. I am limited on what I can apply for. When I had talked about the technical staff grant, that is a Clean Water Indiana grant. That is a state grant that is directed towards soil and water conservation districts. So I hope that that explains it a little bit. Does that make sense? Now, my next question, am I able to address, since I missed it at 8 o'clock, the grant opportunity that I had presented to you at the last meeting? Is that something that I'm able to discuss with you? I know that we had discussed what I was wanting in this grant opportunity. It's a 3-year grant. The total would be $60,000. It would be $20,000 per year. I am asking for just 25% from the council. This grant was created by the state primarily to encourage councils to get more actively involved with soil and water, and hopefully establish a but a budget for 3 years, and then you continue that budget going on. What that would be is $5,000 per year for $15,000 total. If you recall, I had 2 letters of support. One reflected $5,000 per year for 3 years. That would go completely to contract staffing, no benefits, doesn't go through the auditor, anything like that. Or I had proposed a gradual submission of those funds, $2,000 for the first year, $5,000 for the second year, $8,000 for the third year, for a total of $15,000. In the meantime, Soil and Water, and we've already gotten a letter of support from my board, they voted on this last time, we will provide the other $15,000 of this, because the grant is a 50-50 grant. So 50% from CWI, take the other 50%, I divide it up. Soil and Water would donate $15,000 of in-kind support, and I have a breakdown of that. And then the council, I am hoping, will provide the other aspect of that. And if I recall, if you remember, and if you don't have it, I'd be happy to read it for you. I had presented reasonings for this opportunity. I currently do have this contract staff person working for me. If I'm not able to get the CWI grant, unfortunately, I'll have to let her go. I hope I don't have to. Right off the bat, you can see how much money we have brought into the community. Regarding a sampling of the amazing things that are happening with Owen County Soil and Water, my part-time contract text person has been with me since May 6, 2024. During the past 13 weeks together, we have managed to perform the following: 5 invasive property surveys plus follow-ups, 1 pond survey plus follow-up, 2 land surveys plus follow-ups, 3 soil testings plus follow-up. Note, we do receive reimbursement for these follow-up services. If you look on page 2 of my leveraging report, where the financial investment that we bring back into the community, on page 2, free soil and water conservation services that we are able to provide. I provide soil testing sampling. I submit this, let's say it's only $20 for the soil test. I submit it to, in this case, it would be the fish program. I will get back $250. That portion, the 20 portion, goes into my operation budget. The other amount, in this case $230, will go into an account where I can use these to provide more services, buy tools, utilities. In this case, I will be providing, when the season comes, 3 bags of seed. Once upon a time, Soil and Water used to do that, cover crop seeds, where people can come to our office and pick that up. So that's an example. The other services, the return on that, once I submit the work that I've done, it has to be the test and then also the follow-up. And there's normally 2 follow-ups, so it's not just a dig up the dirt and test it. It's more than that. Invasive surveys, $200. That does include aquatics. I do have a specialist who does that, who's certified. I will not test someone's pond, because if I give them wrong advice, all their fish are going to die. You have to go with the someone who's trained and skilled and has the degrees. Usage, $200. Forest management, $200 return. Arbor Day, free trees, $500 return. Now, going back to things that Amy, that's the name of my assistant right now, contract staff, have accomplished. The design and funding applications for the following on the River House property. That's why I call the office. We are working on a handicap accessible community garden. We are hopeful that Eugene is going to build those for us. So we're doing that local. Educational, native cover crop and range garden pots. Educational center, that's going to be in that pole barn. If you've seen my office, We are working on a grant to do that. Building of a handicap ramp, building an expanded parking lot, past events and concurring events, Owen County Fair, Owen County Farmers Market, Field Day with Morgan County, First Creek Watershed Advisory Meeting, locally led working group meeting, SICM Annual Conference, Fish and Idea monthly meetings, which, by the way, on that, we will be hosting the first IDEA, which is Indiana District Employees Association and Fish, first time ever here in Owen County, so it's very exciting. It's going to be September 27th. It's going to be at 10 a.m. You're welcome to come and meet the regional group of people. Organizing educational events with Owen Valley High School. We've been working with FFA, and we are actually working with them, participating in our annual meeting, being very proactive in that, putting on the actual presentation. That will be March 26th, if I'm correct. You will receive an invoice. Upcoming, Welcome to Sowen. We have revived Sweet Owen Woodland Network, and that's an invasive program. The welcome meeting is actually September 5th. If you're able to join us, I did include you all on the email list so that you can see what we're doing. We have a lot of things on here, so a whole page. So I know that you're tight for time, so I won't read all those. I would like to read, because of Amy, because of what we've brought into the community, a breakdown of the monies. So right off the bat, your investment into us, if I'm correct, Anton, is $63,580. The community investment is from MyPath, that $1,200. That actually reflects rental, because MyPath coordinator, he has an office there. Then the state, this year they gave us $20,000. Last year it was only $12,000, so that's nice. It's going up. Next year it will also be $20,000 for investment from partner investments of $84,780. What we have brought into the community, working with NRCS, right off the bat, I'm going to jump down to the new state appointed for 2024. These are new free benefits I'm bringing to the community. I will share on NRCS the reason why we have our first ever district conservationists dedicated to us and our dedicated natural resource specialists is because I asked for them. We currently were using one from Putnam County who covered Putnam County, Rachel Farrell, and here. I said, what did we do to get this? Their salary is $60,515 and $60,515. We do not pay that. The state pays that. They are on call. They are on my speed dial. I say, hey, I have someone here who's interested in a prep program. I have someone here who's interested in property management. Come here. So we have brought that, and I apologize, sir, I'm not talking loud enough, am I? We have brought that into the community. In addition to, again, first time ever this year, Indiana Association of Soil and Water Conservation District. Now, they had actually received a grant, and that's where the funding for my Resilience Indiana technician came from. This is Emma. This is Emma. She is a specialist in aquatic invasives, and she's already done 3 surveys. That's her salary. She does cover a region. I'm including her entire salary because she is on call. She's already done a lot for us to help assist us so that Amy and I are free to handle all these other programs that we have laid down. My goal, the form is pretty much self-explanatory. We don't have to go through all of it. Just the punchline being, again, $2,224,899 brought into the community. Up at the top, the NRCS funding, that $1,215,406, that was paid to applicants of these programs. In addition, those applicants, for whatever program they got that from, these are cost share. So they got this money, then whatever, they got $50,000, they have to do a cost share of $10,000. It is our hope that they took that $10,000 and put it back in the community, either buying utilities, hiring people to do that. And so that's very important there. You can tell that we've formed newly, our goal is to make the River House, because we're unique. We are the only district that has a a house. Everyone else is in a federal building. We are wanting to make it agritourism. With My Path, we have so many people coming. That's the reason why we're doing the community gardens. That's the reason why we're doing the cover crop example. That's the reason why we're doing the education center. That's the reason why we're doing the handicap center. All of this stuff, I need assistance. I'm asking for just that money on that grant so I can pay my contract staff person. It is just 3 years, but with her assistance, just imagine what we can do, because we have a unique opportunity here in Owen County. We have something that no other county has. And if we can bring more people into the community, what are they going to do? They're going to go downtown. They're going to go to Main Street Coffee. They're going to go to Greens Bluff. They're going to go to McCormick's Creek. Of course, shopping. Civilian Brewery, obviously. The Vineyard, obviously. I am hoping that you will assist me on that. I know that on my actual proposal for my budget, you'll notice I had asked for 3 line items. I will share with you the most important one, the one that I really care about, is that funding for that contract staff person. I am really hoping that the county will assist me on this. I have to in order to apply for this grant, I have to have a signed letter of support. I provided that to you when I was here last time. I have copies of it now. If I'm not able to get that, I will share I will not be able to do the grant. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Are there any questions I may answer for you?
Anton, can we put this on the wish list and give it? 'Cause
The
what
thing
you're
is,
asking
this grant is due September 5th. I was planning on submitting it September 1st. I will share that with you. Yes, it's a tight turnaround. I will share that with you. And now, if you put it on the wish list, that means that would be revisited, and I apologize, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That would be revisited either Thursday or Friday, is that my understanding? Okay, so that would work with me. That would work in my time frame. I know it's a big deal. This is very important, and in the past, when I've come to you, if you recall, I asked for 8,000. Right. Well, actually, the very first time I came to you in February, if I recall correctly, I had asked for 15 for contract staff. You did give me a line item with 0 amount, so we currently have that line item that exists. And then I revised that and said, hey, let's do 8,000 and then soil and water. The reason why I have Amy right now is because my board of supervisors committed 8,000 to pay for her. Okay, for right now, temporarily, until the end of the year. You know, we're able to do that. Now, going forward, I'm asking for just 5,000 a year, or 2,000, 5,000, 8,000, and just for 3 years. And we can specify, obviously, 3 years.
So we could put it on the wish list, and that would be tomorrow, at the end of the day. But this is something that has been ongoing for the last several months, not necessarily specific to our budget workshops today. But if you go back several months to when the grant opportunity, or when the need came up and this opportunity, as she just mentioned, and I'm glad you actually brought that up, she originally wanted 15,000. If you remember, we were all very skeptical of that because of the dollar amount and the commitment.
I understand that.
We told her, you need to find other sources of money. And, well, she did that. And then she managed to hire the individual, again, contract, not paid. And she's been able to prove in just the last several months that an individual has been in there that it's been a great benefit beyond the amount of even that she pays. Now she's found the solution to sustain it for 3 years at a cost to us of 25 cents on the dollar. And in my opinion, I think we should take action on this. It's kind of connected to the budget, because if it is approved or we get the grant, which is highly likely, we'd need to have that match. But aside from that, she has a letter that she needs to get in, and there is a deadline for that. And I think we should not beat around the bush any further on this. So I'm going to make a motion that we proceed in allowing her to we're allowing the council president to sign this letter so that she can get that ball rolling. And then in our discussion with our budgets, we should consider putting that in there, because otherwise we're not going to get the entire amount.
What do you think benefit us more, 5,000 a year, or?
Oh, yeah,
I
I would
think
say.
that could be better than splitting it up 2, 5, and 7, don't you?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
8,
Keep it simple.
yeah.
Keep it simple. And she's getting a huge amount more out of it than any dollar put in that line item. I think it's quite creative that she was able to come up with this, to be honest. A lot of juggling and a lot of patience.
So did you,
So I'm making the motion that we allow the letter to be signed off and we grant that request.
I'll second. Motion made by Anton, seconded by Amy.
I have a statement.
Question?
The problem with doing things with the state, and once you get some of their monies, and then they back out of the equation, what are we gonna do with this person? Are we gonna then pick up the $20,000 a year because the state has left home? And left the
this
dry?
is, when I get the grant, I will get the grant, period. It's 3 years. After 3 years, I apply for a new grant.
So
And
you're
if I
saying-
don't get the money, then I don't get the person. But if I can have her at least for 3 years, that's going to create, you're going to be astounded.
You're willing to understand that if that grant is done away with in 3 years,
Yes,
that we might not.
I understand that,
Maybe not fund it.
absolutely, absolutely, I understand that. And hopefully, in the meantime, that gives me 3 years to find another way. I'm good at doing that. I will find another way. This gives me breathing room to find that. I 100% understand this is literally only a 3-year commitment. It's up to me to figure it out. And I get it.
And it is a contract position, Nick. It's not a W-2 payroll thing. And quite honestly, you need to have a written contract with the individual that
Yes.
specifically states
Yes.
the limitation of the grant.
Oh,
And that
exactly.
when the funding is done, the position is done.
Oh, yes, exactly.
And that it also does not qualify for benefits. They are responsible for their own Social
Exactly.
Security, responsible for their own expenses. That's the point of doing a contract in that
And I am
case.
the one who's responsible for the 1099s,
Okay.
you know, everything like that. Auditor has nothing to do with it. It's literally me. I'm the one who files it. And I've dealt with contract people. My fishery coordinator, we pay her, she's grant coordinator, she is contract. I have to file that every year. So after this, it's out of sight, out of mind, after this commitment.
Any other questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Thank you.
All right, now as to the rest of the budget, so that line item has the 5 in there, but for the, back to pay, regular wages for director's position is going to be $42,754.
Okay.
Okay? $42,754. That reflects our earlier decisions this morning. FICA is going to be $3,271. And PERF, $4,788.
All right, thank you.
The only thing left, and there's 2 other items in the budget that are different.
Yes.
One of them was additional money for maintenance.
Yes, if you recall, last year I had asked for the $2,250. This is primarily like the yard maintenance in particular. You graciously gave me $1,000, so I thank you for that because this was a new budgeted line item. At the time, you did note that we will address this at a later time, and so I put that in there, hoping that we can address it at a later time. If you're able to do this, that would be helpful.
So what is the
Yes.
maintenance for?
It's primarily mowing. That's exactly
Mowing.
that's exactly how much it costs to maintain the yard and also the food forest area. And again, this is like a tourist type area. We have the food forest, we have our picnic tables there. This is not affiliated with my path. This is on our land. And once we get the the native gardens and plant gardens and all this. This will also help with that.
Could you not get some help from the sheriff department?
I'm sorry, sir.
Could you get some help from the sheriff department and someone coming and doing the mowing or?
What about our-
electrical department?
What about our maintenance that does our mowing? Why couldn't they?
Well, that would, yeah, we currently, when I came on board, they had hired someone to do this, but I don't have a problem with having the sheriff doing that. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
it's,
not
remember, we
cost-
pay
oh, it's not.
rent for
Okay.
it. So the owner of the property,
yes, that's,
the landlord,
right,
is Soil and Water.
yes, that's correct,
We just pay the rent.
yes.
So typically, I'm just being devil's advocate here, the landlord is usually responsible
And I understand.
for maintaining the building, replacing the roof, that kind of thing,
Right, right.
and
And
mowing,
mowing.
you could argue, is part of that, but we already increased it 1,000 last year, or for this
Well,
year,
you created it, yes, that's correct,
and you're wanting to go to 2,250.
which is what I had proposed last time. And I will share, the reason why I put that in is because we had discussed revisiting it, and I wanted to generate the conversation. I understand that if you have concerns on that, that 2,250, that is the actual bill amount that we pay per year.
So I mean, could like Soil and Water do at least part of that, or?
I have trouble with that. There ought to be some avenue out there where you could get somebody to do that. Either correctional department or sheriff department.
So is that something that they are allowed to do? Because
Well,
we're
they
not,
just-
it's
they
not a
just-
county property. That's the only reason why I never pursued that. I didn't realize. So that,
Cemeteries and done all of that. I don't know.
yeah, and I don't know either. I apologize. I don't know. I mean, if we're able to do that, I definitely like to keep it in the county. I just assumed,
I think there's a point where we have to.
yeah, I don't know if they're allowed to do that. I would, because right now, I will share, we have this year established a relationship with probation and people who need to do their community service hours
Yeah, why
now.
couldn't-
They're welcome. We have them come out there, and I've had.
I didn't think they still did that, to be honest, but
I'm sorry. No, we do community.
they still have the road
service
crew?
hours.
I didn't think so.
No, because I have to fill out the
No road.
form and everything. They come, and I put them to work. I
Well,
do.
Have them mow the grass.
I would say, I mean, just on paper, when you think about paying that kind of money for mowing,
Okay.
when we already have other people that already mow for other
Okay.
properties, even though, yeah, it's county versus Soil and Water, but we still have that. You have perhaps a potential jail release type thing. You have maybe probation, corrections. There's got to be some
Yeah.
Okay, well,
better
I do-
way.
Okay, and I do understand that,
I
because
don't
I
know.
don't mind saving money. My question, and perhaps you can answer this. Can I have, when I worked at the courthouse for the prosecutor, my understanding was, and this was back when Sam Hobbs was sheriff, if I recall, he did the mowing because they didn't want an inmate on the mower and just driving off. And that's the only thing, I'm not sure if there's a liability issue with them using
Something
a
to
mower.
ask about.
Okay, but that's something I need to pursue. Okay, no, I understand. You can't blame me for trying. It was there because we had that notation from last time. The other item
So are
on
we,
here.
what's our decision on
I
that
would
line
like
item?
to see that zero. I mean,
Well, it's been
all-
1,000.
Well, but it's all mowing. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see that zero. I think we're trying to work with the
Is there any other maintenance besides mowing?
And that would be.
We have, we are paying the maintenance out of our general fund. We are doing that. Like when I had to replace the.
Oh, yeah.
I apologize. Oh, yeah, we don't do snow removal, so snow, I mean, no, my mower does not provide that, so that's an additional expense. Replacing the heating and air conditioning, which we had to do, which was a huge cost. We actually paid for that ourselves. Water leaks, we had two major water leaks, we ended up paying for that ourselves. And that ended up being over $10,000 some odd dollars. And so there are general maintenance items that we do in addition to the utilities too. See, we pay all the utilities.
It's already been at 1,000, Nick. Probably better to keep
I
it,
just wait, and I can,
think we should just keep it where it's at. I just think there needs to be some more work done on figuring out some alternative,
will do that.
because it's just a lot of money for mowing.
Well, what we can do is let's keep the notation of let's address this at a later time. I would ask that we keep it at the 1,000 and then address this, and I will look into other venues. I will talk with probation, like I shared. We just started this. I had a gentleman who walks my path on a regular basis and came up and said, hey, I need to do community service. And, you know, he got into stupid trouble, for lack of a better word, and I talked with probation. We were able to establish that relationship. We're now on their list. And if that is something I can do, I'm all about saving money, absolutely. But I would appreciate leaving it at the 1,000 and then leaving the notation to revisit it.
On this printing, is that what we're speaking of?
Yeah, and
That's
printing's the other line item.
Okay. Is there not some copy machine that we've wore out or are not used here in the courthouse? We used to have a bunch in the basement. They're all gone?
Yeah, that I don't know.
I think they have a printer. It's
We have, and my husband's laughing because.
loaded question.
I am in the process. This little tabletop printer, which I have one at home, just like it, little HP, was purchased prior to COVID. And it was purchased 2 directors ago. And back in a day and age when the state, all these organizations that I'm affiliated with, here's a package of this, pass them out, these flyers, they pre-printed the flyers. COVID hit. The government realized that, hey, let's just send you the PDF image or JPEG or whatever, and you print it yourself. And we have generated, so, and if you look at on here, I attached, and when I checked to Sheila, the amended agenda. Your patience, please, I apologize. We now have to print everything in-house. Amy and I have created so many different activities and outreach programs, one of them which I did not include here, Career Day, where I printed out a bunch of stuff for Career Day, which was really amazing because I had kids coming up excited about careers in conservation, and it was an amazing experience. We are printing, okay, here it is, case in point, January 2024 to August 2024, I have printed 14,500 copies compared to nearly half that last year, and that amount's going up and up. No longer can we get pre-printed documents. We have to do it ourselves. In the past, it wasn't an issue because they never printed. I will say that in a past life, I was marketing director, and with the Civic Theater, I make the playbills, I do the posters and everything, and so design and communication is what I do. This would greatly help with the cost. And this is of the machine right now that I have, an ink cartridge. It has 4 because it's color. Each one is an estimated $1,370.83. I say estimated because one color is 140 something, another color is like 120 something. I only get 2,400 pages per cartridge, and I am eating the cartridges. My printer is on the verge of committing suicide. I will share that with you. I am actually working on trying to get a grant to get a new printer. That being said, I'm still going to have to pay printing costs on that. And I'm actually looking at a good Toshiba, which is what you have here at the courthouse. That's what we need. We're no longer, see, that's the thing, since I've come on board, we're no longer just a little office where you sit, you do the administrative work, you have Friday coffee days or whatever, a social type event. We're out there being very proactive, we're being very engaging, we're bringing students, we're bringing adults, we're trying to establish a relationship with the nursing homes for our handicap accessible raised bed gardens, or raised high enough for a wheelchair to get under. Yes, things are online, but you still need the hard copy.
So, thinking about this line item,
Yes.
I feel much more comfortable having the money there because obviously there's been a change in what they have access to and what they can do. I feel more comfortable with that than I did the maintenance. But I think we should leave the 1,000 for printing because they don't have pre-printed materials anymore from the state that they normally would have gotten and used. I mean, a lot of other offices have money for printing because of the same situation and the things they have to print. And so I think that it's probably, we need to include something in printing.
Sometimes when I see it's the state helping, they're the big brother until they decide to pull their help.
Correct.
And then you're stuck. On the county level, we have a fixed income and we're stuck with some of these things. And I'm not against you having $1,000 for printing. I'm just saying, why isn't the state maintaining that for you?
No, I agree with you.
There are consequences when the state does those things.
Are we
Well, you
ready?
know-
But we do need to make a decision so we can move on
Yeah, we
in
need
terms
to,
of time
yeah,
here.
we're really behind.
So I don't mind it being 1,000, but whatever opinion.
Let's. What's everybody's thought? Leave it at 1,000? Cut it in. Okay, what's our,
I have mixed emotions.
what's the, I mean, are we ready for a bottom figure?
I will make a motion that we do the 1,000.
Motion made.
Let's get a
by
vote. We'll get a vote.
Anton, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amy. Any questions? All those in favor? All those against? Okay.
All right, so the final amount that I've got is $72,214. And we match. All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Do I just,
No, it's not, it's
okay.
It's not on auditor, because I didn't have access to that. My understanding is that there should be
What do we have next? His
Extension.
extension? All right. I looked at my last,
Technically,
yeah.
all right, regular
Okay.
wages. So jump right into that.
Okay.
Because this morning, we did make a decision.
Already about what we want to do with raises and compensation. And you have a position in that office,
One full-time
a
position.
full-time position. So that's going to be $34,066.
Okay.
And then part-time, are you planning on keeping just the same kind of capacity, schedule, pool for your seasonal folks that you've had?
Yes.
No changes, no increases? Okay.
No.
So for that, with the new rates, it's going to be $9,684. And then you're going to get half of that back in terms of like a match reimbursement through a state program. Is that?
Yes, the Earn and Learn Indiana.
Okay.
And for this year, I applied for the reimbursement to date, and that's been received, or they say it's been received.
Okay.
So,
And we had fixed this a few years ago, because remember, there was a weird scenario with funds. So we're budgeting the full amount in your budget, which is the amount I just gave. But then on miscellaneous revenue, we need to make sure on our back end that we're including half that amount, which is $4,842, because that's money we're going to be receiving back in the general fund toward that. So with that, FICA is going to be $3,347. And then perf, which is only on the full-time position, is 3,815. And other than your contract services, which is set by Purdue, and just a little minor amount there on postage and box rental, it didn't look like you had any changes.
No, everything's the same.
So I've got 117,319 is what our total is. 117,319.
I did want to say thank you very much to the council for the phone system. Excuse me. It is great to be able to get voicemail in the office and the phones work, and thank you so much for that. We really notice a big difference, and clients have told us that too. And again, thanks for all the support. Our biggest job is the coming season is to grow our 4-H program here in Owen County. Really drill down and focus on our traditional programming and increase the outreach. Cassie's our new youth educator, and she and I are developing plans to, just basically strengthen everything in the program. From working with the Owen County Fair Association to the 4-H Council to the other stakeholder groups, we want this program to really reflect, I think, what the needs of the county are. And so, again, we appreciate your support, and we will do what we can to make this program grow and improve. And if you have any feedback or any comments or questions, feel free to let us know, because we are funded, obviously, by the public, so the public's opinion is very important to us. So.
Well, thank you very much for everything.
We appreciate your work.
We'll leave a voicemail for you if you later on there.
All right, thank you. You can even leave it to me directly.
I know you'll get it, so.
Okay, what do we got next?
Veteran, you want to do veteran real quick?
Yeah, and you do know that James is leaving.
Oh, when is he leaving? When officially?
She took over, I think,
Yeah,
I think he's just helping out with this.
The transition?
I think it was like as of,
I
wanna say
really,
24th, but
I really appreciated everything that he did stepping in, because he did a wonderful job. Wonderful job.
Veterans,
Good afternoon.
how are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
Well, I'm doing okay, I heard the news.
Yeah. I was
My
not,
husband passed away.
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
For those of you that hadn't heard, my partner passed
Yeah.
away. And it was, thankfully.
He had served as our veteran officer for many years.
Many years. He was predecessor for
Yeah.
Joe Goldman.
Yeah.
He was definitely a patriot, and he's definitely lost this county.
Yeah.
And excuse me, because I'm new at this. I really wasn't sure.
You've
what I was
done
going
well
to
so
do.
far.
Pardon?
You've done well so far. The first part is wages, and
Yeah.
we kind of preset some things based on a decision we made this morning on raises. So we have dollar amounts for you, if you want to make note of these, for the position you're in and the position of the transportation coordinator.
Right.
So with that, your part is 15,320. 15,320. And then transportation is 15,780.
She makes more than I do?
She's making more than him.
Yeah, we switched that.
Regular wages.
Yeah, now these are totals, not hourly dollar amounts, because the transportation coordinator,
there was a motion done in some council meeting several months ago to change those positions because we didn't want the appointed person to be
Right.
making more than his employee.
yeah, so we'll have to part of the problem is we didn't do an analysis, so we don't have correct numbers to work with. We can change it, but according to the wage targets for these positions, that's how we're coming up with these numbers. So,
The numbers didn't change, that you guys literally just switched it and said that this one was gonna be
Wish I
the
could find
appointed
it.
pay and this one was gonna be
The minutes to
yeah,
that.
I've got base pay for veteran service officer is 14.26 an hour. And then the base pay for the transportation coordinator is 13,978. So those are already swapped.
So why?
The difference is in the wage targets, because the amount that was chosen mid-year for '24 for the, basically an override of what the transportation coordinator was less than what the target was, the midpoint. Now, we don't have to pay that much, I guess, but we're just going by the targets that are in the system. So do we want to make an exception? Or how do we want to handle that?
So what we're talking right now is that the transporter will make more than the director.
Yeah, I still don't feel like that's right. Whatever.
Doesn't mean it's right, but that's what the numbers are, so we'd have to make a decision. Do we want to set a different amount? The other thought, like we did with commissioners and council, where we lowered ours, you could take the amount we had last set for the transportation coordinator and do the 2%. You know,
Do 2% for that, and then
Right.
for his.
And his would just be the normal process, but if you did that, let me do the math here. 56. It would be, what that would do is it would take the 13,978 plus 2%, it'd take that to 14.258. The total over the hours worked there would be $15,036.
That's for the
Weird.
transportation?
1536. So you see the difference there, it's now less because we're taking the current rate of pay we set mid-year and we're only adding the 2% to that one.
Okay, so it'd be 15 what?
15,000.
15,036. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better.
All right, well, we'll make a note then on that. What I would recommend, though, is keep in mind when we do an update with the consultant for next year, remember, they're going to evaluate the job descriptions and the duties and responsibilities and come up with the target rates. And I don't know why it was the way it was as it already, but we maybe want to ask them to give a little special attention as to why that was different last time.
Yeah.
Well,
There's got to be a reason.
he didn't take no money, raise last year when you took it over. He just took it like it
He's
was.
talking about the wage study,
Oh,
how they
wage
have it
study.
This,
done.
yeah, 4 years ago, whenever they did their analysis,
For some
the
reason,
job
they did
description and how they analyzed that was what came up with the targets.
Okay.
So
came up with
something's
a
changed.
higher- I don't understand.
So, yeah, that's a good area to follow up on,
Okay.
but I think this might be the easy way to do it.
Do we need to make a motion for that, or
If
just?
that's the way you want to do it,
You need to
I'm
do a
okay with
motion.
it.
I make that motion. What we just adopted, what I'm supposed to carry.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Nick, seconded by Anton. All those in favor? Okay. Okay, so what's that make our FICA?
One moment. I need to make a note here. All right, so that's good. All right, so with that, your FICA is going to be $2,322.
Repeat that.
$2,322.
Okay, I thought you gave it some.
And also, I don't know if we addressed this already, but that the amount for the transportation coordinator, since that's a part-time position, shouldn't that be in the part-time line item?
It is for, it
Okay.
is our part-time line item.
It
We
is.
have it in
It is.
12500.
That's
Yeah,
where
it's in
I think it should be, but
Yeah,
I know
that's
on
where we have
the
it.
electronic sheet that I had, it was in regular wages, so I'm not gonna put it there.
Under, I mean, on what we've got printed out, it's under
That's-
part-time.
That's
Yeah.
where he put it in.
Oh, okay.
In his request.
Okay, I know whatever I got had it in a different line item.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in part-time.
Yeah, so part-time's where it's gonna end up being.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then there were just some minor adjustments. Nothing major other than supplies went from
Supplies.
400 to 1,200.
Yeah, the reason that is, right now we're operating basically on a shoestring. Well, 400 is not really enough. We need a couple new chairs for inside the office for veterans to sit in. We've got a couple chairs there that Steve got for us that they're rather heavy, and it's hard for the veterans to move them around. In our waiting area outside the window, we got a couple student chairs from the Methodist Church to put out there. We just like to get some nicer things to put in there for people to sit in to wait for us. We have grown considerably since we've been here. We've had a lot of veterans move from that actually moved from Owen County to Greene County beforehand, and now they're moving back. So they're getting better service now. And it's growing, and we just need to move things up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It is what it is. Well, if I had 1,200 for that line item for supplies.
It was
I have 600.
600 under, but on,
What amount do you want for that?
I originally put 1,200,
Okay.
just as a, off the top of my head, because I really don't know. 600 would be a help.
So what do we want to put there?
I think how many chairs are you talking?
4 chairs, 2 chairs for inside the office for veterans to sit in across from my desk, and then 2 chairs in the outer office for people to wait.
You're wanting to buy them out of the $600?
Yeah.
I think $600.
let's keep it at 600.
Okay, so 600 then is what we're putting in for supplies? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Printing was very minor, and the total I have is 40,593. And we match.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay.
You passed.
Thank you.
I'm going to have a 5-minute recess. Can everybody take about 5 minutes before?
Sure. We'll begin with each clerk and then ours.
Okay.
Who we having next?
Clerk is not
Clerk.
Clerk.
Yep, clerk and then council budget.
the clerk. Are we fired up or what?
Hey, Amy, can you turn off your microphone, please?
Yes.
I'm not gonna pause the
About to
last
find
because we're
out.
only doing a quick break.
back in session. All right. Are we guys ready? Are we ready?
I'm on the verge.
It's, you'll love it.
Are we ready?
Yes, we
Okay.
All right, so we have Clerk Diane Stutzman, and the elected official pay is $57,206. And then regular wages, again, we're looking at current setup at the moment, because any extra we'll put on our list. But for current obligations, in regular wages, you have a chief deputy, and you have 2 other positions from this budget, okay? And when I add those up, that comes in at $122,636. That's going to make the FICA $13,758 and PERF $20,142. Do you want to do wages in election and get that over with while we're doing it? Okay. So clerk, election, and registration, we have 1 full-time position there. That's going to be $36,389. FICA, $2784. And PERF, $4,076. So back to clerk, because you have a wage request.
I do. A couple years ago, an employee was given up from that office so they could get raises. Everyone has been brought up to those wages, and we desperately need that employee back. Sorry. We are, with all the new internal controls that we do, more and more has been put on us. We have the 2 courts, we have 3 people that are working out there, and between the phone calls, people coming to the counter, and then everything that we do on the computers, we're struggling to get everything done and staying within our time so that we don't get comp time, because if somebody's out, then it's even shorter, harder for everyone. It takes 3 of us to balance at the end of the day, the way that it's set up. And it, like with child support, you cannot do your own drawers. It has to be done by somebody else through the computer. So I'm the one that counts down all the money that they've taken in. And then we go from there, matching it all up, and everyone has to sign off on everything. It is, we've got, where we used to have like 1 thing, now it's now revolved to 20 or 30 of the same thing. We've got probation that's now going to be collecting old payments that weren't done. Those are all going to be coming through us. We have more and more people coming in, and the courts are very, very busy. I have 1 person that does e-filing for 2 courts. And that is, the e-filing, there can be up to 100 and over cases a day. And you have to get them done and get those back. We have when judgments happen, they have to go through and read everything through a case. And some of these cases are forever long. And you have to find out who gets what and where it needs to go. And if you're getting interrupted 3 or 4 times, then you have to start all over again. And that's happening a lot. We do have a lot that we have found that needs to be corrected from past years. We've got checks that were cashed twice. We have been in contact with state board accounts on how to fix these. We have negative numbers that have followed us that we need to research to find out what exactly they are, because they weren't done when we were here, but we've got to find out what they are so they can be resolved and taken off. So when we balance at the end of the month, we have to include all those negatives in there so that we balance with what we actually have with the bank and what we have there. So it is very hard to make it through a day. We are trying to act like we're fully staffed in a day, and we're not. And that makes it very hard. And it's very stressful on the people that we have. Like I said, they earn benefits. So if somebody's out, that's one less person, then people have to pick up all those jobs. So now you've got even more that you have to do. And it's become very difficult. So I am asking for a full-time person. This is a position that was there, that was given up. It never should have been given up.
What are we talking about forward money-wise?
It would be, about 36,000 and the FICA and perf that goes with that. The medical or group benefits cost would be on the edit fund because it's a part of the general, so it wouldn't be in this budget. But wage-wise, FICA, perf, it'd be 40-some thousand is my estimation, right?
Now, what I do have, you guys gave me $20,000 for contract person for this year. We're not finding anyone that's qualified to work.
For part-time?
Yes,
Yeah, I believe
they don't want to pay their taxes, which, that's going to bring it way down. There's no benefits, and you're going to do everything everybody else does in the office. But there is, the 4902 does still have, and that's where that money came from. Let's see. I think that sets right now with 36,755.64. So I talked to Sheila, the 20,000 could roll over, take it out of a contract person. And if we could use the 36 that's in there for next year.
And then, I was going to ask about that because I noticed that in the budget, there wasn't really anything requested from that budget. And so you were just leaving it blank or open-ended because of the discussion.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
But we could use that.
Yes.
Okay.
Your original resolution was for $20,000 for this year.
Yeah. Okay.
So you would have to do a new resolution instructing exactly what that can be used for.
Well,
Okay.
Sheila, have you figured out to where to get you a person and her a person, is it feasible?
Well, she has a whole nother fund that would almost pay for 2 years of this person. You guys maybe the second year would have to add a little bit to it to move forward. I don't have that much in my second fund. And again, part-time people are hard to find.
Oh, I understand that.
You know, I fully support her request in getting a person because she does have the funds and she still has the 20,000 that you originally gave her. So to be able to use that and moving forward, could she use somebody now versus starting in January? Absolutely, but I'm sure she would take January versus nothing, so.
Right, right.
I'm sure it would help get the comp time down and all that stuff too, I'm sure of that.
Right, and, you know, we're getting ready to go into the election. So, my election deputy will be, you know, they don't leave all day, 30 days, you know, of early voting. Then we're out at the satellites places. So, I mean, the comp time goes high. Now, he's only setting on 48.25. We have gotten it down. However, like vacation is 164.33. I mean, and then, you know, sick and personal is 75.6. There's just not, it's one person.
Yeah,
And
and
everything is, I mean, even like next year without an election happening, everything else still happens through the whole year. So we're trying to figure out how to get these down to stay where we need to stay and still get everything done downstairs that needs to be done for next year. That's what Mike and I are working on at this point, trying to plan out.
for next year.
How to do everything next year to get this down and get everything ready down there.
And I think the thought on the contract position for this year that we had approved was that you said there was a lot of older stuff that was maybe not
Yeah.
100% in order,
I mean,
and you were needing.
That's the least of our.
Okay.
I mean, that's the least of our issues right now.
Okay.
We're just trying to make it through every day. What we're trying to do is keep our head above water so we don't add to it back there. I mean, I already know we're gonna have to, once again, ask the Attorney General to give us an extension on our, for the unclaimed funds, because there's a whole process we have to go through. We don't have enough people to do that. And really, when one person starts it, that person needs to finish it. You get too many hands in something. But yeah, I mean, we are just trying to make it through the days right now. And you know, some of our stuff, like we have a judgment book that we have to write this stuff in. We have so many days that we're supposed to have that written. Have we been able to do that every time? Absolutely not. It's in the computer, but we can't get in, we don't have enough hours. And I have to make sure everybody's out of here by a certain time, because if they're earning more comp time, that's more time off and more time the rest of us are without a person.
Go ahead, Nick.
Diane, how many hours comp does your employees have?
Right now, I've got Carolyn at 5.02, I've got one at 7.40, and I've got one at 48.25. We have brought our
That's not
comp
bad. Yeah.
way down.
Not bad.
But you will agree, I think, if you have one going on vacation, well, I was in that office, I know. Let me say this, and I'll say it publicly. I probably had a problem with giving you another person, but I've really thought about this, and that is a tough office. It's very demanding. And when somebody takes off, and you don't have the staff to cover for that, somebody has to make it up. I mean, they have to just double up or it doesn't get caught up.
There was 3 of us in there one day that, I believe it was 12 marriage license that came in.
I think we made a mistake.
We were,
And I'll take the lead for it too.
I mean, those take about 20 minutes to half an hour
Yeah.
per person, for each one. And only one person can do it with the computer there. So I mean, that's all they did all day.
But maybe we should have not took that one individual's wages and divided up when you took that person from your office. I know, that's hindsight.
I know.
And that happened.
And I
we thought we did
understand.
right.
My thing is, honestly, it's not if someone's gonna enter something wrong, it's when. Because I went down the other day to pull, we pull all the time. Any of you wanna go down and look? We haven't had time to put stuff back. That's the other thing. It's in my office, my back room is full of them. I had to go down for a case. The case is in a box. That's one case. I have someone who needs one sentence out of that case. So you have to go and read all of that to find that sentence. And then you have to keep going to make sure it doesn't get reversed anywhere. And
Yes.
I mean, that is still setting in my office to
And
do.
I'd like to have this put on the wish list or request because I think it's worthy of discussion. And now this money you've got, where did it come from? Once the 20,000 that we gave you, what's the other money?
It was from the 4902. It's just fees, document fees.
So it comes in, but now, this is an accumulation of it.
But now, I believe it's been changed, it's going to, I don't think it'll be coming to 4902, I think it's going to general fund now. Yeah.
So it's going
Because
into
State Board of
general.
Accounts says, originally there should have been a resolution saying exactly what that money could be used for, but.
Do
no
we
one
have
could
any
find
idea
one.
how much money it is that's going into general that really should have been earmarked for the clerk's office?
I think
we looked at that.
Compared to this,
Right.
again, this $60,000 balance was what, 7-8+ years that
Yeah.
it's accumulated.
Yeah.
It's very minimal what's going into the general fund now.
Okay.
But you still need, this is one of those funds you don't want to leave hanging out there. This is a good use for it. It solves an issue for an employee. I just, again, you'd already given her 20,000, so what's another 20
Right.
at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah,
I
and you'll
just
give that back and we'll, okay. You know, what was it, 5 years ago where we got in such a bind that we had to cut so much staffing and saw the recorder's office being manned by just one individual. I appreciate your request, Diane, and I think my mindset's a little different. I talked with another council member and I thought I felt you didn't need that individual, but now that I really think back, being in that office myself, I'm telling you, you had trouble letting anybody go for any period of time because it had to be covered up, it had to be caught up, let me put that away.
Well, and I'm really thankful that we have a lunch hour, because if you don't have that lunch hour, you would be short however many people that are in your
Yes.
office, that many hours out of the 7 hours.
Yes,
So that's why
that's been a blessing.
it has been.
It took care of your counter staff so that you didn't have to have two stay. Yeah,
Right, right.
thank you.
It really did. And like I said, I mean, when you answer a phone, you have to be able to answer their question. And these are questions on their files. You gotta know if you can tell them, who you can tell. They're looking for dates, they're looking for all kinds of stuff. You gotta figure out, you gotta know who you're talking with, because you can't, you can't just give any information.
And without special training, you cannot allow just anyone to be a
No.
taker in of the child support.
No, you cannot.
They have to be certified from the
Right.
state, is that right?
That's right. And we need to redo ours now, and we haven't been able to.
And how many-
We don't have enough time.
How many cash drawers do you have now?
We have 3.
See, and that was something that
We-
they mandated,
Everyone,
2 years ago?
Yeah. It should always have their own drawers. But I mean, you know, and when people come up to the counter and they want to file something, you have to know what to give them. You can't give them legal advice, but you have to know what paperwork to hand these people.
We lost a document that the judge demanded we find, and it took us days in the basement to find that document because things were in such a disarray. I don't know how it is now. But we
It still is.
It still is?
And the problem, a lot of divorce and marriages are missing. Everyone needs those for their driver's license. Well, the treasurer's side, they're in the basement where they keep all their stuff. You know, a few years ago, we noticed, you know, the assessor's over there, but then we noticed there was some clerk stuff over there. What we didn't know was the clerk's office didn't know that stuff was there. And then when they were talking about it up here and then all this stuff that was missing, I said, what about the stuff in the assessors and treasurer down there? And so I got the key from Shelley. We went down there and we found there's a lot of stuff. Now, how we're gonna get that out, because it's all stacked and it's all compressed on each side, and where we're gonna put it, we're out of room.
I remember we had the state come down and they went through a lot of our documents. We got rid of, I'm thinking, a couple hundred boxes of files.
Yeah.
But if you don't get that done every now and then,
Yes.
you don't have room in the basement.
No. And certain things you can't get rid of.
That's true. Adoptions and other things. Yeah.
And they have to be double locked. There's
Just like all your
rules.
elections.
Yes.
You still got them all probably filed away double locked somewhere.
Yes. And that's another thing that needs to happen with election that I would like to try to do next year is we need to get rid of what we can get rid of. We need to do the retention and get everything organized. It is not organized.
I understand where you're coming from.
We need
Thank
to
you.
organize that.
So what about, is there anything that can be done to help modernize or, you know, when you're looking for keywords, for instance, and you're looking for certain sentences, and, you know, if all you have is hard copies, is there a way to digitize and index?
It is now. It's the older cases.
Okay. And how far back are we?
I believe they started, I know a lot of stuff started in, I want to say 17, a lot got done.
So if our,
But it's not cheap.
yeah, well, and
And you still have to, some of these, you still have to keep a hard copy.
so if the ones you don't have to keep hard copies, and you think about, is there any value in putting money towards a project that would get that done? Just like the recorders, you know, the recorder's office has been the forefront of technology and scanning and keeping those records.
Right.
Is there something equivalent to that for the benefit of clerk and those records that could then dramatically reduce the amount of manpower you all need to use to be looking through old boxes?
Yes.
And would that one-time money costs, which could be used from documents and things like that, be put into something like that and have a contractor come in here and knock it out? And, you know, not have just to continually chase records?
Right.
Just throwing that out there for discussion.
Right. It's just, there's never been money to keep doing that, because like I said, it's not cheap.
Okay.
Doing that. But in saying that, you know, we can figure out where we need to start, and I can have someone come in and give us an estimate of what it would cost.
I'm just curious.
To do that.
I'm not sure that would necessarily alleviate man hours that are needed or not.
Right.
But, you know, if we're considering putting some kind of sizable amount of resources, whether it's 40,000 for a position or X amount for document scanning or whatever, there's got to be a point where we kind of catch up and modernize things.
And putting documents on isn't gonna, you know, if you had to choose between that and a person, I would choose a person.
Okay.
Because what's in front of you is still gonna be in front of you. You still have to read through all this. You still have to do all these marriage license. You still have all this balancing you have to do. That won't change.
Okay.
That will just put stuff, you know, on the computer for us. We still have to read through it.
So there wouldn't be any indexing, keywording, nothing that you would allow?
I mean, if we could, but, I mean, the requests that we get, I mean, they're pretty detailed on what they're asking for. Like I said, the case I've got over there, they need one sentence out of this whole case. And so now and they've got a timeline. So we're trying to get through reading all of this so we can figure this out. I mean, we don't have an option.
And if the request has been made on a case, let's say it could be a criminal or civil, why wouldn't the individual or their attorney, why would that not rest on them to find what they need for their case? Why would that be?
Well, because the case was here, so they can come here and ask us to print it. I mean, we have, anyone, you know, with their case, they come and ask, we have to do it. And usually, there are some that we don't charge. It's a court order, we don't charge. And, we had one, and we've done it a few times. By the time we were done, we have 7 days to go down and get all the file and print these and give them to them. And I will tell you that, you know, most people are very, very nice. However, we do have a couple that will keep coming back. And we have to do this. We can't, you have to.
But I guess what I'm asking is there's a difference between making copies and giving them the case information.
Right. But it's
versus searching for a certain sentence or a phrase. Wouldn't that be, that's up to them to find in that document?
Well, some of the document is not, they're not public.
Okay.
So, and what is available in my case, some of that is not there. And they're entitled for, you know, and we'll give more than just one sentence, but it's got to include this one sentence. And this case, I can understand why. We can't give them that to look at.
So you might have a juvenile situation, for instance, or
Adoption.
protected. I see. And you being the keeper of the record,
This one
you get what they need,
we cannot handle.
and that's it. Okay.
Are we?
It's very interesting to learn about that. But, okay, well, it's on the wish list. So that part is
Okay.
good.
So full-time person on
One
it.
other quick question, though, as far as funding. You also have a clerk's perpetuation fund. It had about a $69,000 fund balance back in July. Is that, I don't see any particular budget for that. Is there some resources available there that could help towards cost or something like this?
I mean, if we were gonna scan some documents, that's where that money
Okay.
could come from.
So it just, whatever a law allows for that particular, it's probably more
That's-
narrow than the
yes.
document fees,
Yes.
is
that
what you're
one-
saying. Okay.
That one can only be used for certain things.
Which could be used for payroll if you use that person in any way dealing with those documents.
Well, think about that too when we're thinking about funding and trying to come up with a plan.
Right.
Okay.
But we've got the 4902, we got the 20,000 this year, and then we've got the 36 setting in the 4902 that would just need a new resolution to say what we can use that for.
Do you still have someone coming and verifying how much time each individual's using? We used to get a refund or
Oh, yeah, Dorset? Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that's for child support.
Oh, okay, are
That-
that still being done?
Yes.
Okay.
So, that's another thing that we have to do a study. So we have to write down, if you get a phone call on child support, you have to write that down. How long were you on it?
Oh, yeah.
All of that, and then we have to turn that in. So you also got all that you're doing at the same time you're on the phone with somebody. If we do any balancing, and it can only be on child support. It doesn't go for anything else. And then at the end of the month, I turn these into Dorset. They also get stuff from Maddie, Madison, I'm sorry. And then they put together how much we save.
That you're
And that
entitled
we're gonna get money back.
to get back?
Yeah,
Okay. Hasn't changed there then?
yeah. And their pay comes from child support fund, because that's what.
And
that's
actually,
all we do.
they used to build their cost into and get me 66 2/3%, I think, back.
We pay, I pay them $1,500 every quarter,
So it's flat fee?
$500 a month to do all that. They prepare all of our state reports and all of that.
Which a portion of that should be redeemed.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do. We
Okay,
do get that back.
thank you.
Okay, where are we at here?
So as far as back to the more regular clerk's budget, there really wasn't any major changes on here except you did have official records, you had a dollar amount entered there
Council.
that was previously in that clerk's perpetuation. Can that not just stay in clerk's perpetuation?
That's fine. We
Okay.
can do that.
2,500 in official
Yeah.
records, because that's where I last had it.
Right.
And so I'm gonna put that into Fund 1119, same line item, $2,500. That would be the only line item you'd have in that budget, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. And then I did increase my PO box
Yeah.
up to 120 because it's no longer 80.
And then copy machine lease agreement, this is
That
where
could go
part of
away.
that, is it all or is it some?
I don't think I have to keep anything, do I? And what time she's
Sort
at?
something out for the clerk stuff as far as your 4D. You have to give a percentage there, but you can still divide it up even if that 1,700 needs to go with the commissioners
Okay.
and with everything else.
So we can zero that out.
They will look at that because they'll yeah, that's part of what
Wherever
they asked for.
4D is, it doesn't matter, it's as long as we somehow identify it,
Right,
correct?
yeah, because they're gonna want to know how much the clerk spends with the copying.
So when they do your keeping track of everything, and they take a call, and they keep track of how many copies they made, or 10 sheets of paper, or something. Because you don't want to add a workload. If you
Yeah.
gotta leave a portion in there, so it'll go toward reimbursement, that's important too.
Yeah, because right now they do, part of the information that they get from the auditor's office does include what I pay for Toshiba.
Postage, commissioners, part of the health insurance benefits, right, for staff is reimbursable.
Yes. they
But we
will
know
pay
that's in the edit fund, we don't put it here, so
Right.
it just needs to be tagged, like the other
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Figure that out.
And then registration conference, that just was increased a little bit to keep up with.
Yes, because the cost.
We also have our elected officials training fund, which is
Right.
usable for some things, and council members do qualify for using that as well. So just keep that in mind.
That 1217?
That fund number,
Yeah. think that's, yeah.
So the total I have is 219,162. And we match.
What'd you say?
219,162.
Okay.
And then perpetuation, we already did, and then clerk and election and registration, we already did the wage part to that. This is a non-election year, but there's some expenses that are needed in here year-round. And we also want to have a certain amount earmarked because there needs to be some kind of rate or cash that's added into this for '26.
Right.
So we don't want to be at zero.
In the printing, I did take that all out, because that we will not need. That, that has a lot to do with microvote in each election. So, 5,400 each, we will not need that, so I did not include that. On the maintenance, I did leave it at the 16,000 because, that is the it's 13,000 for the maintenance on them, and then we have our iPad.
Yeah. And that's annual, even though
Yes.
they just sit.
Yeah, well, we're still doing stuff on them. I mean, we're still, even though people aren't voting on them, there's still steps, they have to be updated, still things that we have to do to some of those. So they come down.
And that's a cost that wasn't in the '24 budget originally, right? And we had to appropriate.
It was originally, but they cut me 28,000. So that's one of them that they
Bingo.
cut. They cut the 16,000, they cut the 11,000, and then I think they cut me some in registration and conference that I asked.
And this is due to our advertising situation. Okay, well, we will avoid that this next time.
What about the group insurance? That's different.
And then group insurance is going to be $9,015, because we have one position that's funded out of that. And got it. So what is, there's 3 election board members, each get $1,000 per year.
They get 1,200.
Or
600.
1,200, yeah,
Yes.
it's late in the
And,
afternoon.
um,
So 1,200 times 3, and then assistant to election board, what is that for?
That is my election deputy.
Oh,
It's $425 per election.
Is that Mike? Yeah.
okay. So wouldn't the duties, his normal duties, that includes election, right?
Right.
So
There's
would
still
his pay
voter
incorporate that?
registration and that's how it's always been there, that they can get this. So if they're.
Is it a per diem? Would
No,
that be
per
a?
diem is separate.
Okay.
That is separate.
I think if we do the consultant review next year, I think that would be a question is if the amount of pay that's determined for a typical elections deputy clerk is encompassing of their election duties.
Right.
I would find it odd that,
And my understanding is why they do that is because they put in so much extra time during each election. I mean,
He charges for comp.
and they also get comp. And I don't.
it just seems odd, that it seems like there's maybe a potential for,
I don't agree with it.
I'd rather him get overtime, to be honest, if he's working over for those 2 years and there's some extra time, or the comp that's made up on the off year. And I just think it's weird that we would have a separate dollar amount there for a pay to an employee that's, should be paid anyway for their election duties.
And Tom, that was going on in 2002. and
Okay, well, maybe we do need to.
You know what they said? We've done that for years. That was what was said, so I mean.
I've been told you can do that.
So do we want to leave that where it's at, or do we want to fix it?
I think if we are going to have a new we're gonna look at these figures next year. Let's wait till then and see what this new survey comes back and tells us. I think, yeah. Because he isn't going to get it next year anyway. Because you don't have, it's only an election year.
Right. No, they,
No, that's it.
they get it every year.
Every year.
It's every year. Because we still, are doing stuff with the election stuff. We still have meetings.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's,
don't know if we, I'm
it's
thinking only
given,
on election year was it available.
it's given, from what I see, what I looked going backwards and some stuff, it's always been given.
Okay, then we.
But I don't know if it, back when you were clerk.
I was thinking only on election year, but it'd be worth looking at it, a new survey.
And as Sheila said, the clerk and the auditor, there is a new IC code, that there was, it passed July 1st, that we can be given $2,500, added because of what the jobs we do. I'm not asking for that.
Yeah, and I'm a bit not particularly favorable of that because, again, the pay we set is to take into account what the duties are and what the
Right.
compensation should be. If anything, then we would lower that by the same amount and then add it, and it'd still be even money.
Some counties have given
Yeah.
it to them, others have said we pay.
It's just odd,
So,
but,
I mean, do we work hard? Yes. But I think it could be used for.
Now, if the state wanted to give it to us.
yeah, if they would pay for that.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
So they come in and tell us that that's what we need to do.
I'd rather, to be honest, to fix this and keep it on a payroll basis, I'd rather us add the 850 into the pay for that position and have it there. Now, when we redo the study, it'll pick that up automatically anyway, but I just think that we need to break the 20-year, whatever you would call that, and fix it. Because if it's someone's pay that is being given every year anyway, then it should be a part of their pay. And they're getting an hourly rate for that.
Well, I know some counties, the issue was, what if they're here for May, but they're not here for November? But then the other person's still gonna get the pay
Yeah.
when they come in.
And that way it's paid year-round, it's a part of payroll.
Right,
You're
that's
not
what I was
doing
gonna
two
ask.
separate claims
The
for,
850, is
you
it
know.
not have FICA and perf and everything coming out of that? Or
Yes.
is it just, it does?
Yes. The
So
only
that's
thing is
wonderful.
it comes out of 1215. It doesn't come out of my general.
well,
So they're-
and that
they're different.
position's
They're different.
normal FICA and perf's coming out of there anyway.
Right.
And because our perf and FICA aren't figuring it on that 850 to begin with, so we're not even, that cost is not even on our radar. So we should add it in, and is that an okay exception? I mean, it's gonna be a little more than the target, but it's already paid and,
Anton, this has been something that's been spoke about for many years. I think if we clean it up, we'll take care of that problem.
okay.
Move on.
So I'm gonna make a note here that we're gonna take, well, basically what we'll do is we're gonna take that 850 divided by 1820, figure that amount, add that to the hourly rate for that position.
Can I
And then-
actually make sure
Mhm.
before you do that,
Okay.
that this is gonna work for where it's getting paid out of in WOW and how it's set up? Cause it's set up differently. He has 2 separate pay records right now in WOW and they get paid differently. It's almost set up, it's not exactly what you're saying right now.
Right, well,
I
and
just
we,
need to make sure that I
yeah,
can
and we don't
change
want it
it.
that way.
Right, I just need to make
Right.
sure that I can update it to do what you want it to do.
Yes,
Do we
well,
want to come
and,
back and, I mean, like revisit that at our,
It is payroll, it's just set up weirdly right now.
Yeah, but I'm paying your payroll, but
yeah, for the new year, we're talking anyway.
right.
So we'd finish 24 the way it's been done, but for 25, we just simply end that practice, and then the pay is the pay for 25.
Yeah.
That should be pretty simple. Yeah. Okay. So bear with me real quick, because we're gonna figure this and get it done.
Where you go ahead and take her off the wish list and just make that adjustment now.
He did. I'm good with that. I mean, you had the money last year for it.
Just can't find it. Well, and one other thing, it won't be on next year's, but the following year, there is nothing in our election for advertisement. I have to advertise. So I don't know where they've been paying it from. I have to do twice in the newspaper, in the legal, when we have our elections, one for May and one for November, and then we also have to publicize the public testing that we do on machines.
Can we take that up in 25 or 26 budget?
Yeah, we will. It's not on this one, but I will.
We need connection.
Yeah. However, I probably will be back to ask for an additional appropriation because I have to do it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not in the budget this year?
It's not in a budget, it's nowhere in this budget.
Well, then we'll have to.
So I will, I've already paid for one, but I have no money left. I mean, my supplies,
We just didn't get in the budget.
it just never existed.
Okay.
I don't know if it used to and they did away with it when the newspaper left, but now.
That's a good point.
Now, I still have to have it done. So I'll have to do one for the public testing, and then I'll have to do one for this fall. And I know the spring one, it was about $433 to do that. And if I have the money somewhere else, I'll pull it from somewhere else, but I don't. Everything else is kind of already assigned where they have to, what has to be paid.
Sheila's suggestion was that what is it, her full-time person now?
The clerk, give her full-time now?
So what's the mind of everybody?
Why? Does somebody want to make a motion?
You got 20,000 still sitting there?
That will be included, won't be used.
Well, that was pretty much, that'd be pretty much it right now.
I think we need to.
I think we should just stick with what we've told all of our departments up to this point. We've all told them we'd be waiting till the end and review the list. I don't know if it'd be fair necessarily to this morning's people to then know that all of a sudden we didn't wait and give that, just to be fair. But that's up to you.
Well, the only one that was talking about another full-time employee was Sheila, and she's the one that made the suggestion, so.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking full-time. We have auditor as a full-time, maintenance has a new part-time, building has a increase in hours, highway wants part-time laborer increase. So there are several employee capacity, additional staff hours, dollars, requests that are already on the wish list. And I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying, can it not wait till tomorrow so we can get everybody?
Yeah, my thing is, it's your decision, but I'm not asking for a new person. I'm asking for the one to be replaced that never should have left. So I'm not creating.
It's semantics, but yes, it's new because we don't currently have it on the 24 budget. So we're adding it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the circumstances are different perhaps, but if you're looking at budgeting 24 to 25,
Sure.
we're considering a new position, and there's a cost to doing that. So we want to make sure we give that the diligence, go from there. But again, that's up to you, us as a group, whether we want to
Well, I think that's a fair statement.
do it separate or not.
We've got it on the wish list, which we will address it tomorrow afternoon unless we come back Friday. So,
I have no problem.
I mean, because you got a number of things there, it's a good point. Somebody might think we're favoring
No.
So are we ready for final number?
Yeah, so for at the moment, I would suggest, let's see here, we're going back to election and registration. 850 would be considered a part of the base pay.
Well, we also have State Board of Accounts coming on site, so that's something I can talk with them about, too, to see.
About the 850?
Because, I mean, I've talked to other clerks and everyone does it different.
Obviously, it's not an issue in the past because State Board of Accounts has never set it up. So I think it's probably good either way. It's just, depends on the mood. So we're adding the 850 to 36,289.
Well, yeah, that would be the simplest thing to do, is add the 850 to the 36,389. So it would be 37,239 would be the new regular wage. FICA then picks it up, it's 28.49. PERF picks it up, 41.71. We'll zero the line item then for that separate thing. And then you had the minor adjustment on supplies, we talked about everything else. And group insurance was 9,015. Registration and conference had been in the document fees fund. It's now back in the election fund. Is that okay? It might have been the same thing that happened with the micro vote because of the cut.
It did, that's where.
And so for 24, it was zero here,
there
but
were-
it should be
yeah.
back, correct?
Right, there were
Okay.
3 of them that were cut, that one,
Okay.
and then the 11,000 from, there was a printing, and then the maintenance one was cut.
But you didn't need the
But-
printing.
I'm not sure why it's called printing, we just haven't, but that was more the microvote coming on, they come and help set up everything, they're here the day of the election, so if anything happens, it's all stuff that we do with them, getting everything ready, getting the ballots ready. That
So-
we pay for each
Diane,
time.
did they give you an option to do that yourself? I think we've always elected to let Microsoft do it because of
On-
the professionals.
Yeah, on some, yeah, they do, but.
They're good people. I mean, we
They-
have them now for, wow, 20 years or so.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you that our iPads are not going to be able to be updated here before long. They're so old. The e-poll books, and then our printers are dying, not wanting to work. So there's high-speed printers. What I've done is
since I was not able to use the clerk's, the grant money that I got from the state, I have sent a request up to the Secretary of State's office to see if I can use that money to purchase these two things, so that the county, it would come from that grant, because they changed their mind on the law.
Okay, so again, 16,000 for maintenance. There was nothing in printing.
No,
Okay.
not for next year, because we won't need them here.
1,200 for registration and conference. I have 77,474.
What was, okay, that's not what I had.
Okay.
Not even close.
All righty.
37,231.
Mm-hmm.
28,49.
Mm-hmm.
41,71.
Mm-hmm.
3,600.
Mm-hmm.
0.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
500.
Mm-hmm.
400.
Mm-hmm.
16,000.
Mm-hmm.
500.
Mm-hmm.
0.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
500.
group insurance, group insurance.
That might be it.
There you go, about 915.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, yeah, so you match 77. Too bad group insurance just isn't that lesser amount, right? All right, so that takes care of all the election-related stuff for now. So, thank you for going through all that with us and the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anton, the recorder is here. I didn't know if she wanted, do we have time before we go home, or are we done?
Whatever she'd like to do.
Okay, council and lit out.
That's easy though, right? Do we want to do recorder, and are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay, well. This is what happens when you show up, Loretta. No, man. Okay, so elected official pay, we've got a new amount for that. We've got $54,654. And then regular wages, you have a chief deputy position. And that is going to be $47,211. And then part-time, you moved back over to perpetuation.
Yes.
And you're going to keep with the same, it was 3 days a week total capacity?
3 days, yes.
Okay. I think that's already plugged in here. Let me confirm the hours. Yeah, 1,092 hours a year. And that's 21 a week. So yeah, that's 3 7-hour days essentially. All right, so keeping with the same amount of hours but the higher rate, it's going to be $16,446.
What did the minimum wage do under that 7?
What was that question?
What did the minimum wage rise due to the 75%?
Well, we don't have any positions that have been at minimum wage, but that particular position, it would go up to the 75% as we decided. It had been at 50, it'll now be at 75. Yeah. All right, so 16,446.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is that less than, well, okay, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, the original might have been just an estimate.
Right.
There's also a new person in that position that was a little different maybe than who was in previously.
So 16,446.
Yeah, and then FICA is $12.58. Part-time does not qualify for PERF. So the total is $17,704 for the perpetuation fund. And then back to recorder, the only things we need to figure FICA and perf on are the elected official and the chief deputy. So for FICA, I have 7,793. And for perf, I have 11,409. 409, yeah.
What was the elected officials paid?
54,000,
654.
654. Then part-time here is 0. Supplies went up a little bit, dues and subscriptions and register, nothing really significant there. Is 455 enough for registration and conference, or are you falling back a little bit on elected official?
That's good.
Okay,
It was just the other that I needed.
so I've got 123, 192. And we match. That was easy. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
What are you going to do with all that time tomorrow? All right.
The elected officials
What was that?
staying at 1,600, the elected officials training fund.
Yeah, we can always appropriate more if we need to. How's our fund balance there? Has that been? Pretty decent? 12,000? Okay. So yeah, there's some room there to, if there's some extra training or stress on one of the other budgets, we can always do an additional. All right, so for council, we decided to forego the 75% target and go with just a 2% option. And so that total,
We're doing that, Anton, because we're not worth the raise, or because we're just...
we're not worth it? So the total for that line item is going to be $74,335. And then FICA will be 5687. And then only 6 of our members apply for perf, so the amount will be 7,136.
The new people who are talking next year's budget.
We're assuming they will,
Do what?
but
What'd you say?
the position that's up, the positions that are up this year are not affected by that, so, yeah. So legal fees, we've got 30, we've managed, I think we've done well to not overutilize our legal. And I think that's been a very good, what's the word I'm looking for?
And he's been very helpful at keeping our costs down.
Yes, and I think he's partnered well with us to do only what's necessary. I think out of the legal fees, we probably should leave it at 30 because we don't know, of
Right.
course, what legal will have. But to be honest, we'll probably not need all of that or most all of it, and that's fine. This would be a good spot to cover the cost of a new study for next year. And the estimate for that, based on the number of hours needed to review job descriptions, wage targets, is going to be around 15 to 20,000. And that can come out of legal services if needed. So we already would have something earmarked there. So I wouldn't change it, but we probably won't use it all at the end of the day. And then other services and charges, we probably don't need anything there at the moment.
We were going to add the 500,000 for advertising purposes as half of the million that we usually advertise. in
Got it.
So put it in there.
But for now, we're going to put it at 0. You're just going to use for advertising, correct?
I have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Can't you
You
just
have to
say, here's.
keep it in there.
So it has to stay, line item. If you,
Well, you already put it in the commissioner's budget, right? I mean, when they.
We did not put it in commissioners.
Okay.
No.
I would keep it 0 if it's not needed, and then when we get to the point where we're deciding on advertisements, we should confirm at that
So
point.
what was, because it was, in 2023, there was $46,000, 406 that was expended from there. So what was that for?
If you remember, we had some situations over the last couple of years where we had money left for advertisement and we
Yeah,
used
but I mean,
it.
it was expended, so that means we.
Right, we used it for other,
And how long this just a graphic course?
it is. I mean, it's not really something we are spending,
Yes.
and therefore I don't think it should be in here. The only thing we should do in terms of advertisement is, once we've finished our actual numbers, then we can go in and add the advertisement where we want to. Otherwise, our totals are not going to really be correct, because we're going to have
But I
that
thought
number
we-
in there.
I thought we'd included this before, and then when we finally needed to take it out, he gave us a buffer.
Not other than advertising, I'm not aware of that.
Well, it wasn't, we called it advertising, but
Yeah.
we had to make it some line item.
I know what you're saying.
Well,
And
I
that
thought
was
one
the
year we
same
put
line
300,000
item, again, so that's where it was put at for advertising last year. When the state made their cuts that they did, you guys were able to use that and reduce the amount without having to go back and do additional appropriations and corrections with the clerk, EMS, and the health department, I believe it was, because that was originally $1 million and based on what was cut. So again, if you want to keep accurate numbers until you're ready to that advertising.
I would.
Then when you come back, that's where 500,000 would go,
Yeah.
same as in the commissioner's budget.
Let's do that, because we didn't put anything in the commissioners for the advertisement.
So that would be
You
0.
did, you just had me reduce it.
Okay, well, we'll go back to that. We moved the ambulance over to
Right.
EMS. The rest, we upped registration and conference. I have 127,998.
So we're taking 500,000 off.
74.
He took the 45,000 out of, yeah.
5687, 7136, 30,000.
He took the 45,000 out
300.
and zeroed it.
Well, the 45 is still used for something else.
Well, that's
So
what
you
I-
want that completely to zero.
Yeah, I mean, what would we have, we
We
wouldn't have
used
used
it for, well, that was 2023, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure what we used it for in 2023.
It would have been temporary or advertising in nature, because the
But I
council
mean,
doesn't
we
have
actually
that
used-
expense.
We actually used it for something.
Right.
but-
If it's there, it'll be used, that kind of thing. So, but I don't think it's needed there, but 127,998. Did you put 5,000 for registration conference?
Yes. Do you want that, I want to all fund that stays at 5,000, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's see, yeah. Mhm.
That's what it is. It's zeroed out.
So now we're at 127,998.
Yes, we are.
All right, so we match on that. Now commissioners, where was this? We had put that amount?
It would have been in a 301001 item.
30100. The only thing that's there is the LAO. We had LAO at 160,000. We had another 30,000 for ADA project, and then we had 7,100 we moved over for WTH, and we're pending Toshiba, the dollar amount we come up with there, but I don't have anything else in that line item.
It was originally 690,000.
So that was with the
and
500,000.
That was with the 500 padding. And you
Yeah.
took it down to the 197
Okay.
one that half.
So we took that
So we did take it
500,000,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what we want to make sure,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So, because we had matched when we were done with the commissioners.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we still match. All right, well, we're up to date.
So what about lit edit?
Lit edit,
We've got contract services, group insurance,
got it, yeah.
grant match, we need to up that.
So grant match, 500,000, that's for
City
community
500.
crossings. And then we've got 30,000 that we added in here for the ADA projects. This
What would
was,
that fall under?
I put that under, I just moved that 31,900 line that we had in the commissioner's budget and moved it over here.
Okay. I mean,
We
what's the
have-
title of it? I mean,
ADA compliance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, same thing, just different location. Contract services are the same, 75,000, that was the economic development amount. And then group health, we had approximately 50 of our positions covered here. That times the 9,015 puts that at 450,750. The grand total is 1,055,750.
so that's
What do you have
four,
for grant?
500,000.
555, 750.
Yeah, 1,055,000.
There we go, 750.
750.
I forgot about that.
all right.
Now, the DLGF's initial revenue estimate for this source of money is 1,186,828. So we're under
Close.
budget there, which
Okay.
is helpful. That could be some capacity we could use for the grant writer thought. It could be if we consider giving the EDC some additional amount, it would come out of that. But otherwise, I don't see anything else here that we would need to add at the moment, right?
What'd you say it gave us, about 80,000?
As far as what's left,
Yeah.
let's see here, 1186828 minus, yeah, about 131,000 under budget for that one. So there's room for utilizing that, or again, if you're under budget, that's fine, because we're going to get the revenue no matter what, but our cash balance has been growing in that particular fund. And let's see, what is that number? Lit edit, 1112. So, you know, it's up to 1.8 million as of July timeframe. So again, we don't know where the jail project is going to put us. We don't know, you know, what kind of emergency situation we end up having with whatever. Having that cash balance, and we have a lot of flexibility with that fund, so.
Okay, that's all, plus
You're
more.
sitting at 15,303,426 in your budget thus far.
Is this 15 million to go, what we spent, what we?
So far, that's what we've budgeted so far.
I think it was a productive first day.
So I call, so we just call for a recess, correct?
I call for Am I second?
Don't forget tomorrow that the state comptroller will be here sometime between 11 and 12. We gained, this order was one of them that we might have to around, so we probably gained our time.